Moon Gang.
Hello. Folks, right out of the gate, I know I sound a little under the weather. That's what I get for taking a red eye and not sleeping and then coming back. But I wanted to stream. I was like, I could take this morning off. I could get a little R&R, rest and relaxation. But alas, I would miss you guys too much. I am back. Let's talk about the markets. Let's talk about what's going on. And I must say, it feels super good to get back in the swing of things. I hope everyone had an amazing holiday. To all of my Jewish listeners and watchers, happy Hanukkah. To my understanding, that started last night. So happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving. I know we have a lot more holidays coming up in pretty much less than a month now. It's just that time of the year again. So I hope everyone is having an absolutely fantastic time, seeing your friends, family, relaxing, and a little bit to add on top of that is all the interesting market things to discuss. So with that being said, let's hop right into the elephant in the room. Omicron COVID variant poses very high global risk and is likely to spread. So this was the hot news on Friday, and it's very much why Friday everything was red. I mean, I was there on Friday. I was actually taking the flight to get to the place I was going. And whenever my phone would update, all I saw was red, and more red. And people were like, what in the world is going on? So to my understanding, and I am no doctor, I am no scientist, this is just a new variant similar to the other variants we've heard of COVID. This one, it seems like it's the reason why this one, I mean, there's been about 8, 9, 10 different variants that have been somewhat discussed, but the reason why this one was like all over the news and why it's this headline and why it had such a negative impact on the market, well, it spread very quickly. So what was done in months with previous variants or even the original one, this one, it's just the transmission seems to be higher. And I'm going to explain in just a bit why I'm really focusing on that word seems. But beyond that, the way they look at all this, I believe it's just kind of the differences in its proteins, the spike proteins. And with this one, there was about over 30. So it just seems they're like, okay, that's the question. The question is, do the current, I guess, tools we have at our disposal help battle with this particular variant? And that was the big question kind of Friday over the weekend and even as early as this morning. And actually, I have a tweet for you. Pfizer CEO says its vaccine offers some protection. And then Moderna, not really sure because we need time. A lot of this stuff, people were even surprised that we're getting answers from CEOs this early because it takes time. A lot of the things I was reading yesterday and today was about it's going to take 2 weeks to get data to properly test to see what's going on. Now, in the meantime, the Omicron COVID variant is likely to spread further and poses a very high global risk, according to the World Health Organization. It warned Monday that surges of COVID infection caused by the variant of concern could have severe consequences. So when you say things like that, it's tough to know. With the way media works these days, severe consequences. Is that spot on, or is it fear-mongering, or is it one of those things that the truth is most likely somewhere in the middle? Obviously, this is up to you. It's on you to protect yourself and your family in the best way that you feel is applicable to your lifestyle and what you think is going on. All I'm here is to kind of spread a little bit of truth about the data, but I'm in no way telling anyone what they should or shouldn't be doing. And the real reason we're talking about it right now, of course, I want all of you to be happy and healthy. But beyond that, obviously, these types of things can have a huge impact on the market. So for example, on Friday, it was announced that the U.S. would be banning travel from South Africa and 7 other Southern African countries. I actually have the list, and we'll get into that. So market bouncing back right now. Oil's actually very low. It's dropping off of the low 70s, bouncing a little bit, but before it was in the mid 80s. But the news that everyone's going to be talking about from Friday till now is what's going on with this. So a little bit more, obviously the variant's name is Omicron. It's still too early to say whether lockdowns or new mandates will be appropriate. Australia. So right now, nothing confirmed. I don't know which way any of this will break. Obviously, fingers crossed that they're like, hey, it's a good thing we were prepared and we look into it, but it turns out it's a non-issue. Obviously, that's what we all hope's going on. But as Friday, the U.S. banned non-U.S. citizens from travel restriction, a new one. South Africa, 7 other southern African countries. The variant has also been found in the UK, Israel, Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, Italy, Australia, and Hong Kong. Not in the US yet. As I'm reading this, or as of the time of this article being written, there was no confirmed cases within America of the new variant. Moderna says that the vaccine could be ready in early 2022 when referring to this variant. So remember, with it, to my understanding, once again, not a scientist, not a doctor, to my understanding, why this one's so much more rapid is because it's more of tweaking the original vaccine that they already have. You're not like building it from the ground up. You just have to take care of the differences in the mutations in this particular variant, hence why it is a variant. But then, like I said, the Pfizer one says that you get some protection. So I think over the next 2 weeks, in really particularly 2 weeks, by like mid-December, hopefully we're going to have a lot more answers about what this is and isn't. Cyber Monday next after Black Friday, traffic drops from pre-COVID levels. So we are currently living in Cyber Monday. And what's kind of interesting is the numbers that they're seeing from Black Friday, as in 3 days ago, it was a drop relative to 2019 by a considerable amount, 28.3%. So we're definitely seeing that drop there. Americans shifted more of their spending online and kicked off their shopping earlier in the year. So most likely tomorrow and the next day, we'll have some of the reports of what retail's doing, just generic consumers, and especially purchasing for the holidays. We'll get a better idea in the next couple of days of how either good and or bad Cyber Monday is really coming in. From the highest level view, if we take out just the insanity of what happens to be going on in this year, this is information. It's the average movement of the market over the past 20 years. So seasonally, we're right about here. If you get into about a fourth of the way of December, we're still in this bullish pattern. Then there's a little bit of a hiccup to mid-December. And then from mid-December until about the first week of January, you have some bullish action. So we are right about here, seasonally bullish. Now, because something's seasonally bullish doesn't mean it has to go up like that and has to act like that. No, not at all. It does not. But this is also just historically what's going on. So we're waiting. Seasonally, things are bullish, but obviously any news related to this, really the new variant, is going to push the market stronger than seasonal forces. Stocks making the biggest moves pre-market, obviously Moderna, Pfizer, airlines, cruise lines. So the market on Friday, if anyone was paying attention, if you got out of your Thanksgiving Day, like food coma, your slumber, things were red, very, very red. But thus far in pre-market this morning, and I know we have about 25 minutes to go, things are bouncing back nicely. Let's just see if it actually holds, because do not forget that any pre-market action is typically going to be, really 99.9% of the time, way less volume, way less stock market participants actually engaging in that. So if out of all those days that I tell you, let's wait those first 15, 20, 30 minutes, see how things are really shaping up. That's exactly what I would say is necessary to be done. Patience. Let's just see how everyone's going to react to it, because you have on one side a certain subset of people saying, hang on, this is just another, I guess, chapter in the book of fear mongering, of freaking out over this. And then you have the other side that's saying, this is extreme. We should have already been in lockdowns. Like I said, the truth is most likely in the middle, as so many things in life go. But when it comes to the markets and your money, I don't know if it's a wise suggestion to let emotions, like strong emotions, really guide how you want to do it. Remember, calm, cool, collected, trade like a robot, be as calm as you can, and stick to your trading plan. What are your entries? What are your exits? What is your risk? What is your reward? No matter what environment it is, this is why you have a trading plan, because when things are a little bit more tense, whether it's the emotion of fear or the emotion of greed driving you, that's why a trading plan really helps out, because it helps overcome maybe some of the decisions you shouldn't have been making based purely on emotion. Before we get into some of the developments, let's do a quick rundown of the overall markets, and then I want to really dive into what's going on with AMC and GME. So Friday, we had the gap down and went red. It closed below this support, but as you can see this morning, we already have a gap up. I'll be looking for this gap fill at 465.20. This is the low from the 24th right here. So once again, I am looking for this gap fill, 465.19 technically, and right now we're having a nice bullish action in pre-market. Pretty much similar scenario with the Qs. It didn't have the gap down, but strength this morning. And the Russell has already been kind of weaker relative to the first two indices. We have this gap down, and I am looking for the gap fill, hopefully today at 228.54. Once again, the low from the the low from the 24th right there. That's what I'm looking at. Before AMC and GME, I want to talk about them a little bit more in depth. So let's just look at the other market. Right now, Tesla not really moving too much. It's coiling, consolidating. We're building up some of that potential energy. We're going to see where the next leg of expansion is too. Rivian, the fact that it's below 115, I really still think it's going to test that key psychological level of 100. Nvidia still looking good, not too far off from its all-time high. It's Pelosi crushing that play. Robinhood did make a new all-time low, but darn near close. Its all-time lows to 26.63 and it hit 27. So still seeing a lot of weakness in this company, which I think is well deserved. Prague right now at 363. It spiked up before, got a lot of people excited at $6. I still have my position. I'm still happy with Prague. Like I said, I think it's a fundamentally undervalued company. If it squeezes, that's awesome, but I need to make this explicitly clear. I'm in Prague because I think it's undervalued. I'm happy to make this a medium to long-term play. And of course, if it squeezes, yeah, I would love that money. I'll wait for it to come back down, and then I'll be able to buy more with the extra money from the gain on the squeeze. So with it, I'm still in Prague, not going anywhere. I actually have the Prague numbers for you. Progenity. So they're now reporting, it's kind of interesting, of the drop-off. And remember, so on the 24th, you're going to see changes in almost all of these Ortex numbers because the exchange reported short interest. For November 15th, it came out on the 24th. So all of these spikes and changes have nothing really to do with any major change in the short interest from the day prior to that, especially from the 14th to the 15th. It was all recalibration. I want to clarify that. That doesn't mean out of nowhere. We're going to see AMC and GME's differences. They all changed as well. And it wasn't there's so many more shorts or there's so many less shorts. It's the estimation because we only get this every single 2 weeks. And I think some people are they're under the misconception that there's somehow a data provider out there that you can get a 100% accurate short interest report every single day, and you simply cannot. We get it for 1 day, and it's always 2 weeks behind. You get it 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks. So for example, the most recent one we have is from November 15th. It happened to be reported on the 24th, and obviously on PROG went from 22.9 million to 22 million down to about 17, just under 17 million shares estimated to be short. So looking at Prague right now, 8.22, borrowed shares already today, a net of 29, utilization 99.8, and shares on loan. So the one thing I wanted to bring up here that something seems off to me is the shares on loan is 23.32 million and the current short interest is 10.5 million, as in less than half. And the reason that doesn't make sense to me, I don't know why there would be so many shares out on loan that aren't actually short, because the cost to borrow is notably high. It's at 63%. And this is actually coming off of it for the longest time, it was living above 100%. So right now, I would be willing to bet that on the next report, that once again, in 2 weeks, I bet we see a spike in Prague, because I just don't see a world in which only half of them, less than half, would actually be short based on the shares on loan, because the cost to borrow is simply too high. If I confused anyone on that, please let me know. But the numbers just, I'm willing to bet that this is an underestimation. And recently, that's exactly what was happening in GameStop. In GameStop, it's always that awkward 2-week lag. And then if you're comparing it to the previous one, it's actually a 1-month lag. But that's exactly what's happening. We were seeing an underestimation of what was going on. And now you see a jump up to 11%. For a bit there, it was hanging out at 8. It was hanging out at 9. The newcomers came in. Ortex realized that it was underestimating, recalibrated the models, and it goes back up. So it's at 11%, but also just on a relative basis, you can see my reasoning for Prague of like, it doesn't really add up when the cost to borrow here is 1% and Prague was 63. Very, very costly to just simply have shares on loan. Anyway, utilization 27, shares on loan 6.34 million. And in terms of AMC, 15.77. This has been somewhat consistent, just kind of hanging out around 15, 16. Utilization 73, shares on loan 85.55 million. So those are just your very quick Ortex updates for AMC, GME, and Prague. In AMC, the insanity on Friday actually caused it to break down. I can't sugarcoat this. This breakdown was not good, but it also somewhat did relate to the fact that there was panic in the market in a general sense. So this wasn't like everything was fine in the market and then AMC uniquely got hurt. That's not at all how it played out. Everything was red. But still, that doesn't take away from the fact that on a technical perspective, that's not good. So what I'm looking for is similar to the time period from October 27th to November 1st. I'm looking for it to be a very similar fake out breakdown. I'm hoping with the strength in the overall market today, we can get back up into this wedge. And then obviously at whatever day it occurs, you're looking for the test and the breakout of the top trend line. So once again, this is not good. I'm not going to say, oh, everything's hunky-dory. You don't want your technicals to break down in a bearish manner, especially if you're long. But I also want to point out the fact we've seen this previously. It collected itself, the investors, the traders, they collected themselves, and we got right back into it. I don't know how futures is going to play out here, but that's exactly what I'm looking for. And I would love for it to get back into the wedge around just below $39. And right now we're at $38.40. So in my opinion, it is definitely possible. In terms of GME, so this one, the main technical I'm watching is the low from November 10th, 196.50. It actually didn't even get there on Friday. It was just below 200. And right now we're actually above 200 in pre-market trading. So I'm looking for the hold of that. And I would love to see a test and recapture of the 218 to 224-ish area. Right now, the charts, AMC and GME, we know there's a lot of intraday similarities commonly between the two, but the daily charts are pretty different. Not too much of an overlap, at least in the past 2 months of their daily charts. I mean, obviously, like Gamestop, if there was a similarity here, it would have had the breakdown down here around 150, 140, and instead it's trading at 200. It's just in a different cycle right now, which is completely fine. So intraday, sometimes we see a lot of rhyme and reason there, but the daily chart, I mean, if you pull up the two of the past 2 months, we're seeing a little bit more of a divergence. But beyond the short interest Ortex numbers, beyond the charts of what's going on there, and the insanity in the market in general on Friday, I mean, talking about insanity, like everything was red. We now see things are starting to bounce. Ethereum bouncing, Bitcoin bouncing, Solana bouncing, Loopring. I have that up for a reason. We'll be coming back to that. But it seems like right now, knock on wood, it seems like things are calming down. So as we get closer and closer to 9:30, we have about 10 minutes. It does feel as if, okay, there was a little bit of emotional panic on Friday, especially with everything related to it, because the market doesn't like unknowns. But if you generically kind of like go through your own watch list, it seems like things are starting to turn green. They're starting to get the legs under them. Does that mean that that's how it's going to play out all day? Absolutely not. But we're going to take the positive signs when we can get them. So right now, I mean, we're seeing a lot of things up in the pre-market. Let's just hope that holds. All right. Now I want to talk about some of the things that happened yesterday. So this was kind of interesting. This is from Adam Aaron, the CEO of AMC. So many good ideas have come from our shareholders in 2021. Always food for thought. We quickly implemented AMC taking crypto, and now one of our very best ideas previously announced Doge and Shiba Inu. So don't get head faked by the K9 drummer. Drum roll, please. It was an awkwardly long drum roll, but I think it was worth it. This idea came from you, partnering with Sony Pictures for AMC first ever NFT. More than 100 unique Spider-Man NFTs given free to the first 86,000 online buyers of US AMC December 16th tickets for Spider-Man No Way Home. Only for Stubs Premier, A-List, and Investor Connect members. Very cool. They are getting into the world of NFTs, 86,000 of them, partnering up with Sony Pictures, and it all relates to the December 16th movie of Spider-Man No Way Home, which, as you're about to see, is going to be knocking some people's socks off. In the US, Sony Pictures Spider-Man No Way Home tickets go on sale at midnight tonight, as in yesterday. Only for AMC Subs Premier, A-List, and Investor Connect members. The first 86,000 buyers get a Spider-Man NFT too. They'll go quick, and that's exactly what happened. Our AMC first ever NFT with Sony Pictures and Spider-Man No Way Home caused AMC's online ticketing traffic Sunday night, Monday morning to soar to the highest ever in AMC's entire history. Oh, did we sell tickets? But we are sorry, wait times got long for the unprecedented volumes. You know what? When you're trying to buy a ticket, I understand the frustration of like just having to wait. But as an investor, as a huge supporter of AMC, the fact that it got so crazy that they were having technical issues, wait times, that just shows insane demand to me. Insane demand to me. So I like it. I like the fact that they're still listening to their supportive base, their shareholders. I like that they're executing it well. This is going to be huge. The ticket sales were rivaling some of the most popular movies ever. I'm not talking about pre-COVID or during COVID or any relative base like that. I'm just saying flat out ever, the number of ticket sales that occurred from midnight until early this morning was so much that it took various websites down. People were very, very excited, not only about the movie, but about getting these particular NFTs. Now, yes, when you buy this, they are free NFTs, and this isn't really relating to an NFT dividend. I know a lot of people have been talking about that, and I have some commentary on that for you in just a bit. But overall, to me, I've been insanely bullish on crypto. Last fiscal quarter, NFTs, the market, it represented about $11 billion, which was 8x the quarter before that. So it's already a huge industry, NFTs, and it's growing very, very rapidly. So even if I didn't know anything about the fight for market transparency and fairness and what was going on in the AMC community, if I was just an onlooker, I'm like, oh, that company is getting into NFTs. That's probably a smart play. Now, this is just its first step. Like, is this going to be the final iteration? No. Like, I think there's better things that can be done with NFTs, but you got to start somewhere. You got to take baby steps, and this is what that is. I like the fact that they're progressing in the direction of crypto. So yes, at first, their very first baby step was accepting crypto as payment. Now they're getting into NFTs. So the entire way that I'm thinking about it is they're taking the world of crypto very seriously, and they're seeing where there's a possible, I guess, fit for crypto and AMC as a business. Now, this brings me on to my next thing. So about a handful of months ago, Adam Aron was on national TV, and he said that he has reached out to Gamestop. He didn't say anything about a partnership being confirmed or anything like that. They're like, we've reached out, and it makes sense because AMC and GME, it's safe to say that they're the two, as mainstream media would refer to it, meme stocks that get the most attention. Obviously, GameStop started all this. There's no denying that. That's factual. That's not opinionated. And then from there, you also have the growth of a huge, still around community of AMC. So right now you have AMC, GME, quite a bit of overlap. And then you also have maxis on like both sides of it that don't even want to hear about the other one. And that blows my mind, but whatever. That's just my opinion. So anyway, we know that Adam Aron on national TV said that he has reached out to GameStop. And no partnership confirmed or anything like that. And it's tough. Where is the business overlap of a company that sells video games and another one that screens movies? That's tough for there to be a business overlap. Well, you fast forward a little bit, and there's a lot of, at first starting off as rumors, that GameStop's actually going to, with Ryan Cohen and the leadership board, be getting in the world of NFTs. And particularly an NFT marketplace. And that's what comes into Loopring, and that's what I have for you right here. So Loopring, it's a crypto project, and you can check it out, LRC. It's basically going to be built, what you need to know, it's layer 2 on top of Ethereum and its exchanges. We have made DEXs, so decentralized exchanges, and it seems like, yes, there is a broad application for this, but the recent development, if you check out their GitHub, it seems to be Ethereum NFT focus and strong relations to GameStop. Yes, we can make an entire video of talking about, okay, some of the things going on in the background of what's there. Like, for example, this is GameStop's website. You can look at their current jobs, software engineer, right here, NFT platform, all these NFT, these all relate to blockchain, NFT. It clearly seems like they're building out an NFT platform. So can I sit here, and I'm no lawyer, so I can't be like, oh, I saw these job postings, that guarantees an NFT platform. I probably legally, like, I don't know if that, but like, I would say it's one of those rumors that's like 99% logical, and it seems like, okay, that's obviously where they're going, and it takes time. These things don't build themselves overnight. So anyway, this has been going on for a bit. They're now up to, I believe, 10 distinct job postings for building out this NFT platform. And once again, this is all from GameStop. And now, and the back all with Loopring. So that's the connection there. That's the crypto technology. GameStop wants the NFT platform. And then we're now in a world where just yesterday, Adam Aaron announced that they have NFTs. And what I didn't get about this, where's my profile? Is this it? I put this out. I'd also like to highlight this means that AMC and GME potential partnership just got much more likely. Apparently some people did not disagree with that, or some people didn't agree with it. I think a lot of you were like, oh yeah, I didn't have to hold your hand. You saw it. You're like, we have one company making an NFT marketplace and another company making NFTs. And they're two of the most popular, most spoken about equities in the entire world. It's like, whoa, what? I guess the best analogy, I was taking a shower very quickly after my plane ride to be here, and I was trying to think of an analogy that would make sense. You have one company that's been saying it's going to make a coffee shop and sell coffee, and they're like, we're going to sell all this types of coffee to whoever wants coffee. You have this other company who just like they're packaging their own coffee beans now. They're going to sell their own coffee, but they don't necessarily want to do the distribution. So you have a coffee house and someone who has coffee. And people, like, if you look at this, I was reading these comments and I was so confused. They're like, I just don't see it. I just don't see that potential connection. Am I saying it's going to happen? Am I guaranteeing it? Absolutely not. But to me, in my brain, this was like a very obvious, like, A to B, and just draw that line. Like, I'm not Charlie Day in Always Sunny in Philadelphia with the twine all over my room. If anything, in the world of conspiracies and what happens here, I feel like this is one of the easiest one, folks. NFT platform, company that now has NFTs. I don't know. And people were just like, I just don't see it. I know I have coffee and I know that's a coffee shop. I don't really see that overlap there. You're going to have to draw that one out for me, Matt. But yeah, I feel that way. Do I know anything? Do I have any extra inside information that you guys don't? Not at all. But to me, it makes sense, especially because of the extreme overlap in the support bases of AMC and GME. To me, they're lining this up for like a perfect strike. We're setting up a T-ball for, like, I don't know, Derek Jeter or someone. Like, we're just putting in there like, hey, if you hit this ball, like, good luck. That would help us all out. To me, it's going to take time. Once again, this stuff doesn't happen overnight. But if we get into the world of AMC being somehow connected, especially with someone like Marvel has its own insane fan base. Imagine the world in which AMC partners with Marvel to make NFTs, and all of those NFTs are bought, sold, and traded on GameStop's NFT marketplace. Like, that would be insane. That would be insane. I think it's crazy. I think it's a crazy good idea. I hope they're going in that direction, and time will tell. Time will definitely tell. All right. So Loopring, once again, that's the crypto kind of backing all of the work that's going on right now for the NFT Web3 development. Very, very cool. And you can actually check this out. This is all on GameStop's website as they add additional jobs, because every so often they do seem to be adding extra ones, which seems like they're really going along with the project. So I am particularly excited. All right. We don't need that anymore. If you want crypto right now, check out Voyager. It's pinned to the top of chat. You could get all this crypto. As soon as you trade $100 of any crypto, you get an extra 25 of Bitcoin. If you want public, check out public. You get up to $70 when you sign up. It's free trading, no payment for order flow, no market makers. There is this like weird assumption that I'm somehow supportive of payment for order flow. I'm not. I think it is better. If you want to trade on Fidelity, make sure you're ordering on lit exchanges. Same with E-Trade, same with interactive brokers. I think one of the biggest issues in the entire market right now is the extreme amount of off-exchange trading. I implore anyone listening right now to do whatever is necessary, if you want to support that fight, to get your trades done away from market makers on lit exchanges. I read some of these comments about me as like I'm somehow supportive of it. I don't know how to be less supportive of this amount of off-exchange trading. It's crazy. Ding, ding, ding. The casino is open. All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. What do I think about Ameritrade? TD is good. I mean, I've used Thinkorswim quite a bit. All of those are fine. You just have to make sure to route your orders. If you're on something like TD or E-Trade or even Fidelity, they're great, but you have to go out of your way to route the order yourself. If you're not routing it, there's a good chance it still ends up at Citadel. So one of my fears is that people are like, oh, I'm on Fidelity, so I'm just good. No. You have to go out of your way to pick your route. If you're not picking your route, it's going to end up still at Citadel. There's a high chance of that it still ends up at Citadel. So all of those, E-Trade, TD, Fidelity, good. Just make sure to actually route your order. Matt, I had a dream where I met you and Trey and we were all celebrating the squeeze. Even in your dreams, you're thick. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy. Your Thanksgiving was so thick. Beyonce got her babs during the halftime show. Opinion on RDHL, was looking to get into a call this week. All right, RDHL. Let me write that down. RDHL. Popcorn, not coffee, and wax pea, not LRC. Thoughts? I like popcorn and coffee, but I'm a big fan of LRC. So I don't know if I like wax more than it. I'll have to look into that project. But I have like loop ring. I actually wish I had more loop ring. Currently trading just under $3, but I'm very happy with it. Matt, thoughts on Prague? Prague. Let's bring that up. 350. So Prague below 4, I think that's going to psychologically start to like scare a few people, because I think people, which start to chase, and I always, I feel like once a day when we're streaming, I'm saying, don't chase. Buy at support. Don't buy something that's just ripping. That's where people get into dangerous situations. And I think a lot of people got in above 4, and then that starts to like freak them out when it goes sub 4. So for me, and I can't tell anyone what to do, I am not in Prague for a short squeeze. I'm in it because I think it's fundamentally undervalued. I think it is a net benefit of a company for humanity as it relates to one of the most popular drugs in the world, of Humira. I think a lot of people who it's necessary for them to take Humira would rather an oral methodology rather than getting injections. To me, it's just undervalued. I do think it has the capability of squeezing, and I think that's like the icing on top. But if it squeezes, cool. I'll take my money. I'll wait for it to come back down, and then I'll buy again. And then if it doesn't, because nothing's ever guaranteed, I'm just going to sit on my trades because that's on my shares, because that's my trading plan as it relates to Prague. I have a main VWAP line on my chart, not all three lines. If a stock is showing upward movement over the VWAP or below the VWAP or downtrend movement above or below, what situations are good and why? Bramble, so there's a lot of different potential, I guess, ways to use VWAP. So VWAP is the volume weighted average price. So basically it's just telling you the average participants, like especially for whatever time frame you're looking at, what price did they get in at? Most of the time, people like it above VWAP because that's telling you for the action that most people are fine. Like they're in the green, so they have no reason to panic. So when you have the average price that people are in at, well, then the average person's either happy or not. They're happy if it's above it, if the price is currently trading above the VWAP, and then they're upset if it's below it. In terms of actual trading methodology, people use VWAP as support and resistance as entry triggers and exit triggers. With that, it kind of depends on your time frame and how you're looking at it. Like I would use more filters for a trading plan than exclusively VWAP. But for people who this is their first time hearing about VWAP and trying to understand like what is or isn't going on, I would strongly suggest that the generic view of it is it's bullish if it's above and bearish if it's below, but there's quite a bit of gray area within that statement. Hey Matt, I sent you an NFT from my Encrypt Zero Count on OpenSea. Enjoy the pandas. Mike M, I appreciate that. Happy Thanksgiving, man. Wait, you mean like profit is, hang on, what is that symbol, Brendan? Oh, equivalent to altruism, approximately equals, not equals. Seems to me like your Thanksgiving is getting so thick Scientology is threatening to reveal its secrets. Was watching your thick clip story over the weekend, and my totally real wife very much agrees with your thick fashion thoughts and problems. Happy Monday and welcome back. Shout out Dave. Oh, very important. Just so you know my schedule for the week, I will be taking off Thursday. I have to do an interview. So normal streaming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. I need to take off Thursday. I need to go up to the Big Apple and do an interview, just so everyone knows. Thursday, Mateo, no streamo. Matt, love what you do. Thoughts on REQ, crypto exploding Thanksgiving after partnership with SAND and Sheeb Newegg News. All right, let me write all those down. REQ. REQ. All right, I got them. All right. Sear stock moving again over the weekend. How is Sear stock moving over the weekend when the market was closed? Is there any chance of squeeze and prog now that short interest dropped so much? I covered that in more detail this morning, but I think it's actually being underrepresented right now. Because to me, with such a high cost to borrow, it doesn't make sense that people would be paying that fee without the position being on. So they're renting out the shares and then doing nothing with the shares. So it just doesn't add up to me. I think the short interest right now is currently being underestimated, and we'll know that in about 2 weeks. Whoa. All right. We got to kick one guy. What is this? All right. We kicked him. Man. that was crazy. We had a straight up racist in here, so good thing we got rid of that. I mean, yeah, sometimes we're joking around with the Gregs and that stuff, but as a moderator, as a creator, when you have like racism, homophobia, xenophobia, like those are such obvious, like just kick them out of here. It's insane. It's ridiculously insane. But we got them out of here. I mean, people, they just do it. They want a response. They want to be like, that's their mindset. They're just crazy people. Interesting. So Tesla's actually kind of holding up with the SPY. Well, the SPY's still up 1%. So intraday, it's not looking the best, but it's still green on the day because of its strength in pre-market trading. But Tesla actually just looking real good. Thoughts on AMP token? AMP. Do I see potential? You know, quite a few people have been bringing it up, and it seems like it's getting brought up more and more recently. But I just don't know much about the project to be like, oh, okay, like, do I see the potential? Like, so for me, even if you disconnected loop ring from GameStop, let's say that was something that was never noticed or discussed, I see potential in loop ring because I see the potential in decentralized exchanges. I see the potential in, do we have another crazy person? We do. That's crazy. You would think that YouTube would just easily block those people. Like, this is just nuts. We just have like a psycho. And I don't know. That's the type of stuff that we need to quickly get out of this community. People who are outwardly racist. You have people who are outwardly using like homophobic slurs. You have people who are outwardly sexist. And I'm like, that's such a poor representation of this community. And you see it. I mean, those people, like, it should be one of those things that's not even like thought about like whatsoever. You see it, everyone should be like, okay, that's a crazy person. Like, let's just move on with our day. Yeah, they're kicked out. YouTube doesn't even prevent you from creating that name. That's the crazy part, is why wouldn't YouTube? I don't know. YouTube fixed the dislike button, as in like it's back or it's not back. It didn't really too much impact my life. Matt, rumor has it that the Twitter CEO is stepping down, Jack Dorsey. How's the stock reacting? I mean, it's intraday it's trading downward, but it's up 5%, but also the market's bouncing. Twitter CEO. Let's see if how big this rumor is. Twitter. Yeah, Jack Dorsey reported to be stepping down as Twitter CEO. Whoa. Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey is expected to step down. Huh. That's pretty crazy. Maybe, I don't know. I hope whoever the new CEOs can do better than Jack did. That would be ideal. All right, Tesla having a very good day. AMC currently at 37.60, and then GME at 205. So as we're waiting for this to play out, let me get to some of the. Are you still holding Prague? Yes. I was talking about that just a bit ago. You must have just hopped on, but I still think it's just an undervalued company. I don't like. I don't think it's a good trading methodology to exclusively look for like these short squeeze plays. Short squeeze plays, excuse me. I'm honestly happy with my AMC and GME. Like I don't need to go around hunting for like everything like this is going to squeeze, this is going to squeeze, this is going to squeeze. I don't think that's a good way to really engage in the market for so much. I'm happy with AMC. I'm happy with GME. I'm happy with both leadership teams are doing. I'm happy with the community that like supports them. I like symbolically what the two of them represent. I'm happy with it. But I don't think it's necessarily a good idea. Actually, not necessarily. I don't think it's a good idea to engage in the market and be like, I'm going to hunt for this squeeze play. I'm going to hunt for this squeeze play. AMC and GME, lots of pros, but also with pros come cons. And a lot of the pros are the fact that we're here right now and we're talking about it. We're shedding light on the things that need to be discussed in the public forum. It brought a lot of people into the market, which I think is phenomenal. But a lot of the people that AMC and GME brought into the market it made them think that short squeezes, especially of the insanity level of AMC and GME, are commonplace, and they are not commonplace. So with it, I mean, even throughout a day, the amount of people that are like, what's the Ortex numbers on this one, on this one, on this one, on this one? It seems like some people have it in their mind that they only want squeeze plays, and they think that if something has a high short interest, it has to squeeze. And I think that's a dangerous thought. I don't think that's a good way to think about the market and how to handle the market. Are there squeeze plays? Yes, of course. But does that mean every single day there's some sort of stock that's squeezing? No, not necessarily. Can be used in depositions later. They can't during the first one based on anti-Semitic forum comment, can it? I don't know. I just think people that do that, they're basically the like bottom feeder attention seekers, and they have like a single digit IQ. So I don't think any of our brain energy is well spent thinking about those people. Killing me with the Wax overlook. Wax is the most used blockchain in the world, huge NFT market, and is launching NFT, not AMC. Wax, reach out to AMC. Wax equals GME2. Research Wax CEO. He's legit. No, I'm into it. I just I don't know anything about it, so I can't like really speak on it. But the fact that this is the first time hearing it, I don't know how it's the most used blockchain in the world. YouTube's getting me. Am I back? I think I'm back. Loaded back up. I don't know what YouTube's been doing. We've been having more YouTube issues lately. All right. Things look like they're actually not holding that well. So Twitter going red. What is going on with YouTube? SPY going red. Well, just so you know, it seems like things are fine over on Twitch. So if there are persistent issues, Club Abilities here and Green Tree Hugger, Dismember, they're all having a good time. But anyway, back to board. Twitter board settles on successor have been planning Dorsey to leave for a year. Huh. Interesting. I wonder who it's going to be. Wonder who's on the short list. Someone asked if I'm hungover. No, this is when you get sick traveling. You know what's weird? I have a story for all of you as we're letting the market do market things. So I was going to go on a Twitter tirade, and I chose not to. But I'll instead go on a YouTube tirade. I had a flight down to Austin, Texas from Philadelphia. Two pretty well-known airports. Philadelphia, a major one, and Austin, getting bigger. Austin's actually deceivingly small of an airport. Like I thought it'd be bigger, but it's important now just because so many people are going to Austin these days. And I bought a direct flight from Philadelphia to Austin. And if anyone's been flying lately, you're going to know that it's been a pain. There's always just some weird issues, and they're like, I don't know, it's like crew rest, it's lack of crew, it's maintenance problems. Like they just have like a laundry list. I think they just roll a die And they're like, all right, what excuse are we going to give them this time? They roll the die, they let it hit, and they're like, all right, like we're going to give them number 5. And like you read that, they're like, oh, your plane has maintenance problems. You're going to have to wait a little bit. And then you come back, they roll the die again. They're like, oh, we took care of the maintenance problems, but looks like the crew needs rest now. So you're going to have to wait for that. So anyway, that's the kind of day I had. I had a direct flight and I got this email and I was in the party. So I had to go to like rehearsal dinner and everything. And they're like, oh, like, you know how you bought that direct flight from Philadelphia to Austin? I was like, yeah, I do. They're like, okay, well, you now have a connecting flight in Charlotte. I was like, okay, that sucks. But also, like, could I have a direct flight? And they're like, you can, but it doesn't leave until half a day later. And also that flight is full. But if you want to wait on standby, you can. I was like, is that a serious suggestion? And they just looked at me and I was like, okay, that seems silly. But okay, whatever. I'll do the connecting flight. Do I get there any later? And they're like, an hour. I was like, okay, not a big deal. I could do that. I built that into my schedule. Like any good Boy Scout, I was prepared. I had a time buffer. And I'm sitting there. And they're like, yeah, you know about that connecting flight? I was like, yeah, I definitely know about that connecting flight that we just spoke about. They're like, well, it's delayed. I was like, well, by how much? And they're like, an hour. I was like, okay, not a problem. Don't freak out. Don't yell. Don't get angry. You planned for this. It was built in. And I was like, okay, not a problem. Sat there, and I get another email. And they're like, hey, you know that flight that you had that was a direct flight, and then we added a connecting flight, and then we delayed that flight? Well, we have some good news and some bad news. I was like, okay, what's the bad news? They're like, it's delayed again. Well, that seems very bad. What's the good news? And they're like, oh yeah, we lied about that. There's no good news. They're like, we like to say that so you feel better that there's going to be good news. But actually, in fact, it's double bad news. The second bad news is that there's no good news. It's just delayed again. I was like, okay, not a problem. Actually, I said that to like keep a cool facade. But no, that was very problematic. At this point, I'm missing whatever the pre-wedding crap is that I have to do. And I'm like, okay. Well, this is going to suck. So anyway, and that's how it all played out. They didn't delay it anymore. They didn't have any problems like that. Some people that work at American Airlines are awesome. Others of them are complete assholes. It's just like luck of the draw of who you speak to. And what was fascinating about the second flight, I ended up in Charlotte, and then I went from Charlotte to Austin. But what was crazy about that flight to Charlotte to Austin is it's about a 3-hour flight, which blew my mind. I thought Charlotte and Austin were way closer, and then I looked at a map and I was like, oh, they are not close at all. But anyway, that's just my misunderstanding of geography. So the guy who was sitting by me on that flight, I could tell he was uncomfortable. Like you just get that vibe. You know me, reading auras all the time. Something about him, I was like, this isn't right. Like, I could tell he was unwell. I was like, is he sick? Like, what's going on? Did he fight with his like wife? Like, his wife and his kids were there. Like, just, you could just tell something was off. And about 2/3 of the way through the flight, he got up and went to the bathroom. So I was like, okay, like, whatever. You don't think much about that. And then he was there for 15 minutes. I was like, oh, he's probably having a tough time in the bathroom. 30 minutes passed. I was like, he's definitely having a tough time in the bathroom. And then all of a sudden, around the 45-minute mark, I see that his wife is even getting concerned. And like, she keeps looking in the aisle. She's looking, she looks, and then she looks at her kids. And it was at that moment that I realized that she was hit with a philosophical issue in her mind. She has 2 younger kids with her, but also her husband is in a distressed situation. That's a tough one. I think most moms out there would be like, he's fine. I'm going to hang out with my kids. Like, what could go wrong? It's a plane. But still, like, I think that's probably the right decision, but it's still like a philosophical decision nonetheless. Your husband hasn't been seen on a plane for 45 minutes, but you're also in charge of these kids. And then if she looks over at her neighbor, me, I don't have the kind of face that you just say, hey, can you watch my kids for a second? You just, I don't look like that. So she's not going to get help from this guy, unfortunately. I would have said yes, but I just don't have that face that like people would ask. So anyway, I wasn't asked. And then she just sat there and sat there and sat there. And then the pilot dude, Captain El Capitan, he comes on the loudspeaker and he's like, hey, we're landing in like 20 minutes. So everyone buckle up. Like, put up your trays, like, do whatever, turn off your computer. We are going to land this bird. And I was like, oh, okay. That he has to come back now because, like, the fact that you have pilots and stewardesses who, like, they freak out over, like, one of those trays. Like, if your tray is down, they're like, we cannot land this plane right now. There's a tray down in 14F. You got to pick up that tray or something bad's going to happen. Like, that's how they act. And I was like, well, this is more than a tray. We have a human who's not in the seat, who he needs to be in a seat right by me. I was like, this is going to be something. And then 10 minutes passed and I was like, oh man, like we're getting, like, you can feel it. Your ears are popping. Like we're coming down, we're coming down, we're coming down. And like, I'm like, this dude's not going to come back to his seat. And I didn't know that was even possible. And then we legitimately landed the plane. And this dude was either back hanging out with the stewardess or like in the bathroom the entire time. So for the final hour of this trip, this dude was not in his seat. He did not sit there the entire time whatsoever. And we landed the plane. So now I'm just starting to question, if a human doesn't have to be there, why do I have to put up my tray? I don't see why I have to put up my tray if, like, apparently a whole human doesn't not have to be in their seat. So just a little bit of food for thought the next time stewardess yell at us about our trays. It's like, well, I heard on that YouTube guy that a whole human wasn't there. So how important is this tray situation? But I also want to make it clear, don't be one of those people that give stewardess a hard time. They like... Do you know how many ding-dongs stewardess have to deal with day in and day out? In general, like conceptually, it's a debate I would like to have with a steward or stewardess when they're not working their job. But like, oh man, that has to be a tough job. You're exclusively dealing with people all day, every day, and in an environment that they don't want to be on. No one wakes up in the morning and they're like, yeah, I want to sit on a plane for 4 hours and the seat is meant for someone who's like half the size of a normal human. Folks, I'm 5'9", 5'10", 5'10", 5'10", I don't know, whatever. I'm around there. If I'm not able to fit in the seat, that means that there are hundreds of thousands of people who fly a day who can in no way fit in the seat. If I'm sitting there at like a normal sized human being and my knees are touching the chair, if you're 5'11", 6 foot above, you're screwed. Planes suck for you. And everyone's disgruntled. Everyone's like, am I going to make my flight? Why was my flight from Charlotte to Austin delayed twice? Am I going to make this rehearsal? Blah, blah, blah. Like everyone's stressed. And the people who work on these aircrafts, that's just all, they deal with people who are not happy. The chance of someone being happy is so incredibly low. And that's all they get day in and day out is people who are just like pissed off. Flight attendants, not stewardess. Oh, aren't those the same thing? I'm sorry. Flight attendants. Did we get rid of one of those names? I didn't. Flight attendants. Is it like one of those things where we say like actors and actresses, but if you have a group, actors applies to the whole group? Not everyone is down with the thickness. Yeah, they made me buy a whole extra seat. They're like, boy, you're too thick. You have to buy a second one. Someone's husband is 6'4" and they're screwing on a plane. Yeah, if you are... I'm uncomfortable at my height. That means so many people in this world, they're just going to sit there and be like, nope, this is going to be awful. There are not, men aren't called stewards. Did we just get rid of that word? The word, wait, the word steward and stewardess doesn't exist anymore? Like, we just don't use it? I'm sorry. I guess it's flight attendant. Halted, and on news, probably a news pending halt. 6 foot, 265, and I just flew recently between two strangers. No complaints here. If I can suck it up, the rest of the world can too. I mean, everyone just sucks it up, because if you're gonna fly, like, that's your option, unless you can, like, charter your own flight. Like, the fact that we have a multi-billion-dollar airline industry in this world shows that everyone does just suck it up. Flight attendants. All right, I guess they're called flight attendants. Hey, Matt, I understand you had a bad flight day. Now imagine having to rely on it daily for your job to get freight from one state to a different state. I would hope that the logistics of it is planned out way more accurately. I would hope so. 5'10" in all directions. Normal sized person, you really do walk in these sometimes. Don't you, thickie? You're referring to the delicious pastry. Ding dong. Those were good pastries back in the day. Do they still sell those? Funko Tops, Capcom, all Hot Wheels stuff for waxed NFTs. Funko TMNT NFTs was a huge drop. Is LGVN still doing its thing? Some people are talking about it. Not particularly. It's an inside day. So the high and the low is still within the high and the low of the previous day. So just not much movement there right now. Not a solid trend. If it goes below 29.80-ish, I would say that's a bit bearish, but it hasn't. It's holding up, so maybe you'll continue to get a push. Check out the key psychological levels. Probably 40 is the next major one. Twitter halted, probably just on the news, I would suppose. Rivian recaptured 115, surprisingly. Nvidia strong, 324. Robinhood, I believe a new all-time low, in fact. Is that a new all-time low on Hood? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Bearish, bearish, bearish. Lucid, in my humble opinion, still looking strong. It's at 53. Would love to see that break of 54. Lucid looking good. Let's check in on crypto. Bitcoin, 57,000. Ethereum, 4,300. Loopring, 290. And then Solana, 206. What else do we have? Matic, 170. Oh, I need to make these the right color. Doge 21.5, Hex 16, and then we also have Cardano 150. Cardano just has not really been moving well lately. Thoughts on the Constitution DAO token people? So like what they were trying to do and get the Constitution, or how Ken Griffin ended up just buying it, or I guess I need a little bit more. A little bit more direction on that. I mean, I really wish that the group was successful in getting the Constitution, but unfortunately, Ken Griffin's like, nah, not gonna allow that one. Not going to allow that one. All right, what is the SPY doing? SPY's trying to decide. What about the Qs? The Qs strong. IWM, unfortunately, looks like it is dragging AMC with it at the moment. Cardano was delisted from eToro. Oh, that sucks. Wait, why? Why would... Was there any publication on like why they made that decision? Cardano is like a top 10 market cap crypto. Can I check out Disney? How's Disney looking? Pretty bearish. I would say the next support on Disney is roughly $140, and it's currently trading at $146. Actually, it might catch itself at 145. I would watch that, but I'd care more about 140. And then if it goes below that, then you're kind of eyeing up this gap fill at 128. Once again, this is for Disney. IWM definitely seems to be dragging. Look at the similarities in these charts. AMC tried to buck the trend right here, but let's see. Let's see if it can diverge for the day. That would be nice. That'd be very, very nice. Do you think it's okay to invest in stocks like Pfizer, Moderna, Tesla, Google, Apple, and Facebook right now? I mean, those are very, very different companies. Pfizer, Moderna, if you think in a certain way, if you think that they're going to be pumping out more vaccines and people are going to be, I guess, utilizing said vaccines, that could be positive for those. Tesla, Google, Apple, Facebook. So a little bit more tech. Tesla's different than the other three, being in the EV world. I'm bullish on all those. Well, I'm more bullish on Google and Apple than I am Facebook, just because Facebook is in the middle of like various social problems right now that are more, they're garnering more media attention than any of the current problems related to Google or Apple. So, I mean, that one's a tough one to answer. Do I think it's okay to invest in stocks like those? Well, I mean, those are all just wildly different ones. Middle seat, sir, you're so thick you look like the bottom half is submerged in a swimming pool. Just flew back from Key West where we got married, was the smallest ever. I'm 6'3" and can never get comfortable, and those things felt like a sardine. It has to be tough to fly. I mean, they're just getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Twitter halted pending news. What does that mean, Daniel? It relates to the CEO. It sounds like Jack Dorsey is gonzo. Why is GME gapping so much? You see more gaps on the 1 minute like that when there are a low amount of volume. So you can clear up the gaps a little bit if you go to like a higher time frame, just because then more volume trades. But last week, things were getting a bit more exciting with GameStop for sure. We saw an influx in volume, an influx in excitement. But at least to start today off, and remember, we're only 37 minutes in. We're in a low volume environment right now. So you see more gaps with lower volume, lower amount of trades. Matt, I wish the logistics were better. It's like the boats sitting in the ports. Order your Christmas stuff now. Well, hey, that's a good shout out to everyone. So sounds like with some of the supply chain issues and delivery issues, you might want to get your information or your like presents ordered early or your gifts ordered early, all that stuff. Sorry, I just want to see. This is from Douglas Boneparth. Breaking: Jack Dorsey to step down as Twitter CEO to focus on his other, better performing company, which would be Square. What else is going on? Is this confirmed right now? I want to know who the replacement's going to be. Twitter. Latest. Twitter shares traded halting, news pending. It's going to be the CEO announcement. What is this one?
From what I'm hearing from a number of different people familiar with the situation, expected to announce that he will be stepping down as the company's CEO in the near term. I don't know much else, and so we will see the market react to this potential news. But unfortunately, at this point, it's not clear to me, based on my reporting, whether or not Mr. Siegel, the longtime CFO, will step in, or whether an outside candidate has been brought in. There's been no shortage of rumors about potentially Mr. Dorsey, who, remember, helms two companies, both Square and Twitter, as their CEOs, would step down from a position he took over 6+.
All right. Well, it sounds like we're just waiting. That's what's going on with Twitter. If you're paying attention to Twitter, and just so all of you know who's listening, that the other company everyone is referring to is Square, which is actually a very strong performing company. Did they say that? Did they say, let's go Brandon in the back? I didn't catch that. Hey, bud, did you get XRP? If no, hurry up. You can set a trust line for solo coin, free money, Brutta, snapshot coming soon, airdrop in January. I do not have Ripple at this point in time. Can you tell us more about Thickcoin? I understand its functionality is it allows transactions to have exact same height, width, and depth. Yeah, that's exactly the main utility of Thickcoin. All transactions, exact same height, width, and depth. But the one thing you're forgetting there, Brendan, is the absurd amount of density. High density, borderline pushing that of a black hole. Like, it's concerning to most. Where's Franklin? I actually got to see Franklin on Thanksgiving on Thursday. Franklin and I hung out. He says he misses all of you. He also seems to just be missing the limelight. I think he liked his fame, and he kind of wants it back. But he was doing well, as cuddly as ever. Do I think a stock market crash is coming? Like, generically, at some point in the future, will a stock market crash happen? Yes. Do I think it's like right around the corner? No. But like, do I think it's coming? Yeah. I mean, I also think at some generic point in the future, we're going to hit another new all-time high and things are going to rip. Like, if you have to put a little bit of a time frame on it. Shout out Jeff. Shout out Jeremy. Matt, how's AMC on Ortex? Do they borrow lots of shares on the hype of NFT? All right, let's check it out. Let's check out what the current borrow is today. Thus far, no. They've only borrowed 78. So in a way that you could say that they don't want to bet against the hype is one particular way to interpret that. All right. Disney. What other ones? Let's check out Microsoft. Microsoft actually looking pretty good. So tech looking good. Apple looking good. Google. Let's check out Alphabet. Oops. Looking solid. Amazon daily chart looking good. Let's go to the betting sector. DraftKings. DraftKings still selling off, unfortunately. It's at 35. One of these days, this is going to catch itself. It's going to probably base for a bit and then come back. But DraftKings, right now, it's still looking weak in more of the short term, but I still like it for the long term. So I'm patiently waiting. Penn, same scenario right there, trading at 52. What other main companies do people ask about? Let's take a look at Tilray. Tilray, still kind of weak. This one, to me, is not like a charting play. This is, you're just waiting for the government to like stop dragging their feet. Probably the exact same with SNDL. Same thing. People last week were asking about CEI. I was not a fan of it. I'm still not a fan of it. I wouldn't say it looks extraordinarily weak right now. If anything, it looks a little bit just sideways, just a little bit boring. Not much of an obvious trend. I'm trying to think of the other one. People are asking about ATER. This one, upon the breakdown on October 22nd, that was bearish, and ever since then it's been bearish. When it couldn't hold this support for the third time, once again rewinding back to October 6th, that was the ATER. Like, you had to wait. Then at that point it went into a bearish phase, and you just had to wait for a new bullish phase to be created, and thus far it has not really happened. I'm just seeing a pattern of lower highs. Someone is asking about ISPC. I don't know anything about it. It just started moving like crazy. So I guess there's probably some sort of news that got announced over the weekend, 2 weekends ago. And that's when it started trading. Still kind of low volume though. 5 million for a stock that's $18. I'd like to see a little bit more volume, a little bit more excitement. So Gamestop is actually holding up very well. It's up 3.7% right now, while on the other hand, AMC is a little bit below break even, down 0.6%. Tesla's up 4.3%, but it's bending back over. My fear of one thesis of what I have going on right now is GameStop's going up, and we know on an intraday basis these things kind of look similar. So why is GameStop going up with AMC going down? Well, please don't forget that GameStop is no longer in the Russell 2000, but AMC is. So right here, look at the correlation between these two. AMC is the biggest equity within this. This whole, I guess, subset of 2,000 stocks has been selling off, and AMC appears to be trying to fight the trend, but that's a lot of money like disappearing from the overall market right now in the Russell 2000. Currently up 0.3, but it's been selling off all intraday, 226 down to 223. Twitter still halted. Yeah, it's a news halt. So you're just waiting for the news to come out. I don't know. Do a market over the next hour. Day trading crypto is something I've never done, and it's something I'm not particularly interested in. For a little bit of technicals though, I would be watching this trend line on Bitcoin, just seeing if it can finally get out of this clear downtrend that started on roughly mid-November. You want to break and hold. That's what I'd be watching at Bitcoin, currently at the trend line. Similar situation for Ethereum, but a little bit different. Not a downtrend. It's sideways. It's boring. You're looking for a break and a hold above 4,400, even better above 4,600. Loop ring. I've been watching this one. I like how it's not necessarily following Bitcoin and Ethereum. I've really been watching it because I own it. I'm excited about what it's potentially rumored, allegedly, most likely doing with GameStop. I like that. And Solana. It's a strong utility coin. This one is more related to Bitcoin and Ethereum. All these strong utility coins, Ethereum, Solana, Algorand, Cardano. I'm trying to think of the other ones that are in the top 20. All of those I'm a fan of because in my personal estimation, that's where technology is going. I think it's going to be a mainstay of common life, especially from a technology standpoint, to be using Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, Algorand, Avalanche, and those highly well-known, highly utilized utility coins. I'm a fan of all of them. Disney News, Mickey to step down due to alligators with a couple princesses in Black Widow. Allegations with a couple princesses in Black Widow. What's going on, Jason? All right, what else do we have? So right now, AMC currently trading at 37.30, down 0.82% on the day, while on the other hand, GME is trading at 207.21, up 3.75%. Prague is at 336, down 7.6%. Lucid's having a decent day at 52.5, up 1.4%. Tesla 1,130. Honestly, compared to what's going on in the market right now, I'm surprised how strong Tesla's holding up. Kind of a combo between the SPY right here of down a little bit sideways and the Qs straight up. So actually, it's more so tracking the Qs. Definitely not looking like IWM at all. So these are those days. A lot of the times the SPY, the Qs, IWM, a lot of relation, but this is one of those days where certain sectors, such as tech, are doing well and other sectors not so much. How's the wedding thickness? It was great. It was fun. Hang out with some of my closest friends. It was a great time. It was an awesome wedding. Great food, great speeches, great dancing, great time. It was fun. It was fun. The only crappy part about it was like legitimately the travel, just like having to deal with airports. Airports are never fun. Tesla Berlin factory looking to open in December. Shout out King Brother. The Constitution DAO token got introduced into the market and went crazy this Thanksgiving, up 2,000%. Usually when things are up like that, I just don't like to chase. Like, you have to have that position beforehand. Up 2,000. That's awesome if you're in it, but it getting into something that's up that much, it seems very chasey. For Christmas, we want AMC to move back to the right pane where it should be. Oh, you're saying in the top right? I kind of like going like alphabetical though. Feel like that makes more sense. And now if I switch it back, the whole group of new viewers are gonna be like, what do you mean you gotta switch it back? Is there a video of Matt dancing this weekend? For sure. It lives somewhere. Matt, get a COVID test. I already did. Of course I did. I don't have COVID. This is just a wedding plane related cold. I'm sure in like 1 day or 2 days I'll be fine. That's what happens when you take a red eye after a wedding. Your voice gets messed up and your sinuses get clogged. But I'm sure Dayquil and some vitamin C and I'll be tip top. Projected Berlin production is 1,000 a week. Model Y by January. Wow, that's actually pretty impressive. I got a seasonal cold too. Yeah, it could just be a seasonal. I don't know. It's just a dumb cold. Has anyone done? I was talking with someone about it yesterday. They're like, oh, if you just have like a cold, and go get one of those like vitamin, I guess like IVs. Has anyone done that? Anyone in here? I'm curious if it's real or to not even consider it. Positives or negatives or just any. It's one of those things that I want it to be true, that like a vitamin IV makes you feel better. It's real. Is it good though? Like, I know it's real because I see that they're in Philly, but is it like worth it? They help. Ortex. It's real in Vegas. Real and works. Vitamin C IV is real. I'll have to check it out. I'll check it out. Joe Rogan and Dave Chappelle do them weekly. Oh, like while they're on tour right now? I'll have to check that out. I'll see if there's one in Philly. Take zinc. I just took some Dayquil and some zinc. I've done the hangover IV after a wedding, and damn, yeah, it's amazing. I just need a cold one. The regular IV is good for you. And some fluids. Well, that's why I've been just drinking some water. Trace minerals. Yeah, give them an ER for alcohol. We call them banana bags. Oh. Wait, do they also work for the common cold? We'll have to check it out. I know they're pretty popular in Vegas. When people go a little bit too hard in that town, I guess they need the bounce back. Thoughts on this BS don't buy AMC drama? Made a video on it yesterday on my channel. I don't know. There's too much drama and I'd prefer to stay out of it. I don't know who the drama is, who it involves, but don't buy AMC. if I had to guess, is that GameStop people saying to not buy AMC? I don't even know what the drama is. I don't know who it involves. It sounds like it's people who are saying like, oh, our stock's better, so don't buy AMC. Is that what it is? Or am I right or am I wrong? It's really hard to get caught up on drama like when you're streaming. Thoughts on the don't buy AMC? Is that like the same shit that like people like Rich Greenfield and them have been saying it? Lou said not to buy it? I thought Lou supported AMC. Why would Lou say to not buy AMC? I thought Lou liked AMC. Why would he say not to buy it? See, this is a problem. It's just like, yeah, I don't know what the I don't know. Hey, he can have his thoughts. I like AMC, so I don't. He says not buying will trigger a squeeze. How would not buying trigger a squeeze? I don't know. This is one of those things that I can't fairly comment on it when I haven't watched it. And honestly, I don't really care to watch it. I like it. If you like a stock, you should be buying that stock. That's pretty, like, that's a very clear, like, axiom of how markets work. If more people like it and they keep buying it, price goes higher. That's supply and demand, folks. That's exactly how supply and demand work. Buying is the best, holding is better, and buying is the best, holding and selling is the worst. Like, those are your options right there. Buying is very good, actively buying. If you have no money or if you don't want to buy, at least hold. And then getting out of your position is the worst option out of those three. So somehow to say that like holding, and I hope he's not saying that selling is better than buying, but I can't comment on it because I haven't seen it. But even without commenting on the video of what was or wasn't said, just so all of you know of how a market works, the more people that want to buy, that's more buying. That's more demand. If you have demand that outweighs supply, price goes up. That's how markets work. He's saying hodl, but don't buy more, essentially taking away the buy button. What? Why? I'm confused. Maybe my head is in too much of a cloud right now, but that doesn't make sense. He said buying equals giving money to hedge funds to sell more synthetic shares to dilute. So stop buying. Oh man. No. All right. I don't want to be in drama. That's silly. Folks, it's simple. You buy it. If you want more, you buy more. Buying does not help shorts. I haven't seen the video, so I can't comment on the video, but I'll leave you with this. Buying stock does not help shorts. I know there was previously about buying the dip, buying the spike, buying normal environments. Apparently people are now, they've taken that and they're like, hold my beer. Like before that was the thing. They're like, is buying the dip helping shorts? And most people were like, that sounds a little bit crazy. And then someone just came in and they're like, hold my beer. You shouldn't buy at all. Like, come on. Buying does not help shorts. It just doesn't. It doesn't. In the event of the actual squeeze, if you buy, someone's going to sell to you. So when we're moving upward, could shorts get out there because you're representing demand and they're representing supply? Yes. but the math of that situation is not so straightforward and in your face. I mean, I could do like a whole talk on the mechanics of that, but what you need to know, if you're sitting there and you're thinking, I'm hearing a lot of contradictory things, no person on this planet would somehow say that buying a stock like helps it go lower. Like that doesn't make sense. If you're buying, you're representing demand, and the price is always the equilibrium between demand and supply. I can't comment on any commentary on Twitter or any commentary on YouTube because I haven't read those tweets. I haven't watched those videos, and I don't really care to, because when I learn about market structure, I'm in the fortunate positions, as you have seen with interviews, to be able to speak with people who work at exchanges, people who have expertise level knowledge, such as Dave Lauer. I don't need to confer with like just generic ramblings. Like I feel confident in my knowledge base. And then when I don't understand something, I reach out to people who have the proper credentials and background to share the truth. Like this concept that buying could somehow benefit shorts, that's something. You're getting a bad description of what he said from your followers. You should check it out. That's what I'm saying is I can't comment on it because people, I mean, you only have so many limited amount of characters that you can do it to share a multi-minute video. So it's tough to get, like, how do you sum up that video? That's why I'm saying I don't want to comment on it because I haven't seen it. I don't know, like, how can you comment on something you haven't seen? It amazes / frightens me how many people can't really think for themselves. Same here. I get that. Isn't the point, it just make sure you buy on lit exchanges, then you aren't buying synthetics? Synthetics? No. Well, there is a chance. Okay, so I guess it depends. Like, let's first all get on the same page of what synthetics are. So synthetics are the shares that are created from naked shorting. So if there's a short seller out there and he sells stock that the short seller has not borrowed, then you're buying synthetic shares because the shares don't exist. They were never properly borrowed. There's two main ways these can be made. So, for example, it's just you're engaging in the market. So you call up a prime broker and the hedge fund's like, hey, I want to short stock, whatever. And they're like, okay, cool, you can go sell those. And in the meantime, they try to locate them. They never locate them. So the shares that they sold end up becoming synthetic shares. It depends on where those hedge funds sold those. They could have sold them on a lit exchange. That's totally possible. But that's one type or one source of these synthetic shares. A whole different entire source of synthetic shares is going to be market makers because they play by a different rule set and they're allowed to sell stock without locating it. So the end result is the same. You see a bloat in supply from stocks being sold that were never sold, but I would say you have two different starting culprits. In my estimation, from the numbers and articles that I've read, I think that the market maker one is more egregious. And remember, when you're engaging in market makers, you're no longer on a lit exchange. But then you have a whole nother type of one that would be from, I guess, a normal market participant, and their broker allowed them to sell stock without locating it. And then that's when you get into the underbelly and like kind of the very disgusting world of prime brokers. You should do your homework on someone before you comment. You are right. You are speaking out of context, and that's confusing your followers. It's not. I literally said I can't comment on it because I haven't seen the video, but I also said that buying does not help shorts. Buying represents more demand. Regardless of any video on this planet, there's no world in which buying isn't representing more demand. I don't need to watch someone else's videos. With Lou's or whoever's videos out there, I have to see it, folks. I can't comment on it. I haven't seen it. So I don't know the specifics, but just generically, when you're talking about supply and demand, if you want the price to go up, you need more demand. And that's true for any market known to mankind forever, for history. Even before the days of YouTube, if you have more demand that overwhelms supply, price goes up. That's how markets work. Buying does help shorts depending on where you're buying from. Depending on where you're buying from. Well, I think in that way, that's almost coming back to the argument of, okay, are you buying from a market maker or are you buying from an exchange? Because if you're buying from a payment for order flow methodology, like such as like Robinhood or Webull, if they have a net short position and you're selling, they would buy. So if you have Webull, let's say Citadel, if you have been buying, people are buying, they're selling as a market maker. So a bunch of retail buy stock. Let's think about this. Let's think about this in real time. You have a bunch of people using payment for order flow methodologies. They buy. Citadel, they're buying from Citadel. All of these. All retail buys, Citadel fulfills by selling you stock. They, let's say, didn't have the borrow. They didn't have the liquidity themselves. So they now have a net short position. The way they would want to get out of that net short position is for them to buy stock, as in people sell, which we all agree, selling is probably the worst thing that could be done. Or you could offset it with call options, which we knew from the GameStop report, that is a common methodology that they'll do. So in this scenario, you have retail using payment for order flow, buy. They sell you stock. We don't have the insights to those numbers. They may or may not exist. So would buying more somehow assist Citadel or another market maker? I don't think so. I don't see how it would. Selling would clearly benefit them because if they sell, they could buy it and then that helps bring them back to net neutral. They could buy call options. So I don't think many people are writing premium to market makers. So then that brings up the question of they have this net negative position. Retail's already been buying. Let's say that were to double. Let's say retail doubles its position. Would that no, that would put market makers further in the hole. I can't come up with a way of how that would help. Well, let's think about it the other way. Let's say that you're doing it on a lit exchange. Let's say you have retail who they're like, you know what, we're not dealing with this anymore. And they want to continue to buy. So they go to a lit exchange. They go to IEX. They go to the NASDAQ. They go to the New York Stock Exchange. They want to buy. So if retail is buying off of a lit exchange, you then have people who are selling. On the New York Stock Exchange, if I went to the New York Stock Exchange and there was those sellers, you're not going to know who those sellers are. Those sellers are either people who are long getting out of a position, or there are shorts who are creating a position. But the only way you're helping a short, remember this. Okay, so I think here's the disconnection. I guess at a certain sense, you have to define like what's helping a short, what's helping a market maker, because those definitions are different from situation to situation. Like, what are you helping them with? But if we just, from the highest level, looked at shorts, hang on, I need some water. They're not delivering shorts shares. What's so hard to believe? It's not that simple. You would see that in FTDs. you would see that. I think the problem at first, it was that obvious because you saw the spike in FTDs, but now I think it's more devious, and I think it's hidden a lot of the action in the derivatives market. Probably. Yeah, well, we would know it in the FTDs. Like if there was a mass amount of fails to deliver, that would be right here. So this is AMC's as of October 28th, 81,000 was not delivered, which is a stark drop off from what we've previously seen in June. So do I think much has changed in the action and what people are doing? No. I think what's changed is where they've decided to like hide these positions. So I think it's beyond just the stock market. I think it's very much in the derivatives market of how you hide these types of numbers and get them to not show up in FTDs. So for example, if you sell a bunch of stock, you sell, and you don't locate it, well, that's where you're going to get spikes like this. But now if you improve the game and you're like, okay, if I sold a bunch of stock, for it to not be an FTD, you have to represent that you have stock. And one way to represent that you have stock is by a bunch of calls. You could be like, no, like I am actually net neutral. I'm not net negative. I have those shares. So for all the stock you sell, sorry, my throat's getting messed up. You would buy a proportionate amount of call options to offset those numbers. The game is beyond just like the stock market now. They've obviously gotten smarter. We've gotten smarter. Both parties are learning more and more about like what's going on. So I think a lot of people are making assumptions that are just like, oh, like we saw this, so it has to be true. It's like, well, no, at a certain point you have to like look at the numbers. Someone said, I agree it's a derivatives problem. I think it's worthwhile to like very much learn about the derivatives market. The low volume forces brokers to cover. That's a connection I've never heard before. Why would low volume force brokers to cover? And I think this is like some of the problem is a lot of people out there are just saying words that like are accurate words for this, and they just like string them together. I don't know, like for a bit there, we were always hearing like statements of like the shorts are hidden in dark pools. So they're connecting two concepts and like two phrases that make sense, but like when you put them together like that, like what does that even mean? Like how shorts aren't hidden in any venue. So like I think there's quite a few people who are like, and I think they have good intent. I really do. I think they're like, okay, like here's the theory. Like, is this something like worthwhile to look into? Blah, blah, blah. Like that type of a thing. Like, I don't think they're like maliciously trying to spread false information. But people read it and they're like, oh, it just like must be true. And then it's never fact checked. Like the amount of times I read that shorts are hidden in dark pools, that it's nonsensical. Like that's not how the market just like works. Like a venue's a venue. Like things aren't hidden within a venue whatsoever. And it's just like two words. They're like, okay, I know people don't like dark pools. I know people don't like shorts. So if I put those together in a sentence, it's going to sound good. And then people just like believe that. They're like, oh, that sounds good. And that's like everything in life. There's pros and cons. So the pros of social media is that many people are easily connected and can share ideas and can communicate across the world. That's a massive benefit. But you also have some of the cons of people, and like you see this isn't just like specific to the world of trading or finance. It's everything. Of people just see it on the internet and they assume that just because people went out of the way to put it on the internet, that it then somehow has to be true, and they're given some form of an authority, which is, and I guess in a certain sense, we've seen that on mainstream media lately of people talking about a thing that you're like, what? Like, that's just incorrect. Matt, you need to cut this short. Go get an IV and go to bed. You're going to get much sicker. I'm a mother of 3, cool dose, and now I'm talking about it. Yeah, I mean, I think my like voice is just super rasp, but I'm gonna go get some I don't know. I guess that IV or whatever it is. If you're in the New York area, come to Wellness and Aesthetics, and we'll give you free to try high immunity IV. We also have, what is the name of this place? I'm going to write this down. LP Wellness. All right, I have it up. New York, New York. New York, New York. New York, New York. Lou says we're being sold IOUs technically, which, yeah, that would be like, that's another name for synthetics, making us dilute the stock since everyone's getting fake the same price. If you want to watch on my page, I mean, I'd have to look into it. I still haven't watched the video, but I don't believe the solution is all of a sudden to not buy, but other people are saying that's not what he's saying. So I need to look into it. The California State Teachers Retirement System bought more shares of movie theater chain AMC Entertainment Holdings. That's awesome. What's going on? Nick. Sounds like you could use some rest. Probably need some rest. Matt, we had this low in November, so it's when it took off this week. Can you check this low on November 1st? Right here? I mean, we're a bit higher right now, but a similar pattern. We're hoping that it's the fake out breakout scenario. What are the ETFs that correspond with SPY besides VIX? Well, the SPY is an ETF. So the SPY corresponds with the S&P 500. But you have other ones. You have the VIX, you have UVXY, you have... I don't know, you have a handful of them in there. You have the inverse ones. I don't know if you're looking for inverse relation ones. But even SPY, you have the direct ones even from Vanguard. So SPY is from like one company, but then Vanguard has their own equivalent one. Stop using Webull and Robinhood to buy shares. Yeah, I don't think many people are using Robinhood or Webull anymore. That was one thing that I saw. Like when I was reading some of my DMs this morning, they're like, stop promoting. When have I promoted Webull? I was the first one to switch off of Webull and go over to Public because they don't do payment for order flow. They don't do market makers. So if you're new to this and you're thinking that I'm saying don't use Webull. If you want to use it to look at the options chain and see what pricing is, okay, that's fine. If you like it because you're comfortable with their charting, okay, that's cool. I don't want to use their charting, so I use TradingView. I'll look at their options chain, but you could see options trade on Thinkorswim. There's like various options, no pun intended, of stuff you could use, but I don't think there hasn't been a Webull sign up in months and months. I think I switched over to Public in August of this year. Someone said I use Webull for level 2 data. It's like $2 a month. Yeah, it's actually a cheaper way to get level 2 there. Does Public have a web platform? Yep. Yeah, they just rolled out with it. Why is AMC going down? Because there is more selling pressure right now than buying pressure, but I think it more so relates to the overall market. That's why I have IWM up right below it. You don't see where it has stopped manipulation. So that is one, I guess, interesting way to look at it. Is like, hang on, we were all on Robinhood and Webull before this, and we saw crazy price movements. And okay, I get that, but we have to take it the next step of, in that scenario, what, GameStop ran up to 500 and then they took away the buy button. AMC ran up to 72 before like a bunch of weird stuff started to happen. We can't look at it of like, well, like that's where the bar is set. Like if we do the exact same thing with Webull and Robinhood and payment for order flow and think about the scenario in the same way, well, how could you expect a better result than what we've previously seen? You have to look at it in like a new light, in a new way. And I guess that's how I view it, is like, now that we're learning about how bad payment for order, like, I think we should be against the extreme amount of off-exchange trading for like beyond AMC and GME. Like, I don't think it's a good way for our markets to function, like, at all. Like, and that's when I say this is not an AMC and GME channel. I like AMC, I like GME. I talk about both, I own both. But there's many things going on. There's various issues of corporate corruption, corporate espionage, market manipulation, insider trading. I like to talk about it all because I think the public should be informed about it. I think we should be informed about what's going on so we can make better decisions, and people time and time again hopefully stop getting screwed over. Like, if we can cut down these instances, that's better and better. So wrapping this all back, just because AMC and GME have moved in the past, yeah, okay, so in the current system, they can move like that. But I want it to move more accurately. I want to get rid of this off-exchange trading. I want to get away from a system when only one market maker was continuously providing liquidity, because to me, that's a systemic risk in our overall system. So to me, what the apes are fighting for, I think it's honestly beyond AMC and GME. I think we're fighting for a more properly functioning stock market, and anyone who engages in the stock market or has any aspect of their life that's somehow tied to the US or global economy would benefit from the fact that we have a better running system, because it's one of those things where no one cares about it until it goes horrifically wrong. But if it goes horrifically wrong, sometimes it's too late. And specifically the GameStop saga in January pointed out how a company that sells video games almost brought all of Wall Street to its knees, which would have brought the US economy to its knees, which would have brought the global economy to its knees. And this all started by a company that sells video games, that should not happen. The system should be far more robust than ever allowing that to occur. And really, I think what they were looking at is, we dodged a bullet on this one. Let's just get out of it. Let's sweep it under the rug, and let's hope that they all forget about it without improving the system. Well, fortunately for us, enthusiasm for what we're fighting for, at least in my eyes, has not died down. And there are many, many people who are clearly highly interested in continuing to fight about it, continuing to point it out. And hopefully in the meantime, you make some money, making some good trades, making some good investments, making some good crypto and options plays, whatever you want to engage in. I wish you the best of luck on all of that. But this concept of, well, hang on, we got there previously with payment for order flow. I get that. Yeah. And that shows, but also I don't think it's wrong to think, well, we also want more and we want to fix some of the problems that the business model of PFOF has actually prompted for all of us. What do you mean selling pressure? If there's a buyer for every seller, wouldn't there also be buying pressure? Well, yeah, okay. So let me put it this way. So let's say I own a house and I'm selling my house and you try to buy it. Okay, so let's see if we can agree on a price. Well, all of a sudden, now there's another buyer. I'm selling my house, but now there's 2 people bidding on my house. Well, now let's say there's 3 people bidding on my house. Now let's say there's 4 people. That's more and more buying pressure, and I'm the only seller. Well, let's say on the flip side, you're still trying to buy a house and I'm selling it, but then my neighbor sells their house and it's very similar. The next neighbor also puts theirs up. The next neighbor puts theirs up. Well, all of a sudden, with you being the only buyer and there being 4 or 5 willing sellers of a similar thing, these houses, which I'm saying that to tie it back to the fact that we're talking about the same stock, that means that there's more selling pressure, and for you it's beneficial to be a buyer. So when the transaction goes through, yes, there's one buyer and there's one seller, but you have to look at the environment that surrounds it. If there are many people trying to buy one thing, well, it's beneficial to be the seller because so many people are trying to buy it, so the price gets driven up. On the flip side, if you're trying to buy and you have many options, well, that's beneficial to you because the sellers are going to get into like their own price dropping war to get your business. So yes, every transaction has a buyer and a seller, but you have to look at the environment that surrounds it. And if you have more houses, that's more selling pressure, price goes down. If you have more people trying to buy one singular house, well, that's more buying pressure. So that's the concept of buying and selling pressure. Good luck with your interview on Fox on Thursday. Lil Matt leaving the nest. Don't forget about us apes. This one's not with Fox. This is an interview that's going to be taped and it comes out later. So it's not like a live thing, just so everyone knows. This is funny. Just make copies of the deed and sell the same house 100 different buyers. It's the Kenny Boy way. See, Patty's starting to connect the metaphor. New Year's resolution is to learn options. You have a recommended platform to trade on. So when it comes to options, you're not going to be really able to avoid payment for order flow. Just so you know, I think my two favorite options trading platforms are Interactive Brokers and Thinkorswim. I think they're the most built out. I really have a high regard of trust for Interactive Brokers. They are a commission platform, but also when you pay, you're paying for transparency. Just so you know, most people who work in Wall Street, I don't know if this means anything to any of you, but most people who work in Wall Street, when they're trading their own portfolio, when they're trading their own account, almost all of them, borderline all of the ones I personally know, are on Interactive Brokers. So those people who have the intimate knowledge of what is and isn't happening and how things are or aren't structured, they end up choosing to pay commission on Interactive Brokers. And what they're paying for when you give up that commission is transparency. If you're not paying, you're not getting a fully transparent deal. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Is it at a certain point beneficial because it brings a lot of new people into the market? Yeah, but then I hope that those new people start to learn that, okay, yeah, like that's the trade-off. If you're getting something for free, it means you are the product. Seraphim censoring, banning members, maybe a big reason why you're down. I've been here for 8 months and I'm threatened with a ban asking a simple question. I don't know what your simple question was. What was your simple question, Bell Biv? Why did Twitter stocks get suspended? Because it's a news announcement about the new CEO. Sounds like Jack Dorsey is stepping down, but someone just said, yeah, Belbiv, it sounds like it says, Seraphim just said that they haven't banned anyone. So Belbiv, are you sure that you're just not like having tech issues? Because if you're banned, you can't send a message. Just curious, if a stock is at 37 and no one's buying, no one is selling, and I buy one share, will it go to 37.01? It depends if that's the price that the willing seller agreed to you. If the seller was like, hey, I'll sell it to you for $36.99, and if you say yes, well, then the next price it's going to show is $36.99. But that's true with any price. The price, what you see, is the most recent trade. It's the most recent price and share count or like share amount that a willing buyer and seller has agreed upon. With it, and I think this is it's important, and I've said this quite a few times, that you don't buy from the ether, you don't sell into the ether. If you buy, someone's selling to you. If you sell, someone's buying off of you. That's how markets work. You don't just generically buy from a pool or sell into a pool. FUD against mods. Now Kenny's getting desperate. Oh, that's hilarious. That's actually really, really funny. I still haven't even seen Belbiv is angry. Belbiv, if you want, you can like DM me. Like, I don't know, people get mad. Like, obviously you're not banned if you're commenting. Is Interactive Brokers US only? No, they're international. I don't know if they're in every country in the world, but they do have an international presence. Remind us of the community guidelines because I don't think the comments deleted. Belbiv, feel free to reach out to me. You can DM me. All right, folks, it is 11 a.m. As you can tell, I probably need to go get some vitamin C into my system. So I will be catching you later on. If the medicine works, I'll be back here for the Power Hour stream. If it doesn't, I'll just catch you in the morning tomorrow, just so everyone knows. Thank you for hanging out with me this morning. I appreciate it. Thank you for all the support. I'll be catching you later. Remember, whatever's going on in the market, have your trading plan. Stick to your trading plan. Don't let emotions of greed and or fear like run the day. Just stick to whatever your trading plan possibly is. I will catch you later. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as always, from me and Chair, best of luck in the markets.